Welcome to YK Paintball, and today we won't be doing any sort of equipment review, but instead I'm going to be going over my review style, my review philosophy, and my background, so to speak, so you guys can better contextualize the information that I'm giving you in my other videos. And so, to understand my reviews, I think you should understand kind of why I started this video or this channel in the first place. And that's because I felt that there was a sort of information problem. When I was starting to play again back in February, so around 6 months ago, I had a really hard time finding information on products that I felt like I could really get a good feel for the product and that I felt like I could trust. I think that's for two main reasons. The first is that a lot of the YouTube video, like equipment review videos out there, are put out by stores or retailers, and that made it difficult for me personally to just kind of take that review at face value. You know, when these stores are trying to sell you equipment, obviously that's their business, and then when they give a review on a product that they sell, there's just something there that makes me kind of not want to just take that at face value. The second problem that I found was that a lot of the discussion that I felt from like players and people who have used the equipment that I felt like I could trust was actually taking place on Facebook. And Facebook, in my opinion, is not a very good format for finding information. It's very difficult to search these long comment threads and stuff like that. So if you wanted information on a product, you either had to like post a question yourself, or you'd have to like search through and hope to find some information on what you're looking for. And so with this channel, what I wanted to do was take the information that's out on the product, take my own experiences with the product, and put it into YouTube video, which is easily searchable, and put this information out there from a source that is not store or retail affiliated and easy to search. Now that brings me back to why I'm doing this video, this specific video. That's because, in my opinion, there is no reviewer that is the best for everyone. Whether a reviewer is the best for you depends a lot on whether your values and the things that you think are important kind of align with the reviewer. So what I want to do is I want to talk about my background and the things that I value so that you can better contextualize my reviews and the information that I'm putting out. So moving on to my background, the first thing to know about me is that I started my paintball career in the woods. I played in the woods for around 2 to 3 years because the first place that I played was Wayne's World of Paintball in Ocala. And if you ever played there, it's easy to see why you'd want to stay in the woods for a while. It's a huge field with a lot of really cool fields. And so I played woods ball for around 2 to 3 years, and I played around 20 scenarios or so. So I've got a decent amount of experience in the woods, and I know what does and doesn't work in the woods. After that 2 to 3 years of woods ball, I moved out of the woods and started playing the tournament style of paintball, and I really enjoyed that. I liked how the competitiveness and how action-packed all the games were, and I did that for around 2 to 3 years. I only made it to around the D4 level of play, so it's not like I was the best of the best by any means, but you know, it was something that was a major part of my life, and so I have a decent amount of experience with that tournament style of play as well. This is important because I think it shows, I want you guys to understand that when I'm thinking about equipment, I'm thinking about both kind of the woods ball style of play and the speedball style of play, and thinking about whether the equipment works well in those environments. The next thing about me is that obviously I am not a store or a retailer. That's kind of one of the main reasons I wanted to make a YouTube channel. And there are some pros and cons that come with that. First of all, obviously, because I'm not a store, I'm not trying to sell you something, and you know my motivations are a little bit more clear. That's not to say a store is dishonest or inaccurate or anything like that, but me personally, I'm gonna take the opinions of someone who's not affiliated with the store much more easily than someone who is. One of the cons of the fact that I'm not a store is that I cannot get the best, newest gear the second that it comes out. You know, a lot of the stuff that I've been reviewing is my own stuff, and if you're someone who is looking for the newest paintball equipment reviews, then I'm not going to be the one for you because I just cannot afford to buy the newest stuff the second that it comes out. The other thing about me is that because I'm not a store, I am reviewing my own equipment, and that introduces its own set of biases because, you know, I've purchased all this equipment with my own money, and I think people are always a little bit biased in favor of the stuff that they spent their own money and resources on. Obviously, I'm going to try my best to not have that bias affect my reviews. We're not always aware of how our biases are unconsciously making it into our opinions and stuff like that. Now, because this stuff is my own equipment, I think I can offer a more thorough review than a store. You know, I really put my stuff through the ringer, I use it a lot, and after I've had this like kind of thorough experience with the equipment is when I'm going to give you an equipment review. So I think one thing that I offer above these stores is that while I'm not always reviewing the newest stuff, the reviews that I do are a bit more thorough than what you would get with a store. Now I'm going to move on to the stuff that I look for when I am reviewing a product. And I'd say I look for four main things. The first of which is reliability. You know, when you get onto a field and you've put all your stuff on, you've paid all your fees, and you try to play that first game and something of yours doesn't work, that's like a really, really disappointing feeling. And so I value reliability because I'm trying to minimize the chances of having that feeling. So that's why I place reliability so high, is because I want to avoid that anxiety, I want to avoid that disappointment, and I want to make sure that when I get out there my stuff is working. The second thing that I'm looking for is whether the thing works well enough, whether the thing gets the job done. And what I mean by that is not that the equipment doesn't have to be the best, in my opinion. I don't care if it is the fastest loading hopper or anything like that. What I care about is, does it work well enough that it's doing its job? And so that's the second thing that I look for, is like, does it work well enough? If you're someone who wants to know what the very, very best piece of equipment is, I might not be the reviewer for that, because I don't really care about that. The third thing that I look for is whether any piece of equipment feels high quality. And that's a bit different from reliability. When we spend a lot of money on this sport, we spend a lot of money on our equipment. And so when we do that and we pick up a piece of equipment, we want it to feel like we know where our money went. You know, when you pick something up that you spent money on and it feels really cheap and crappy, that's like not a good feeling at all. And so something that I really appreciate in a product is when you hold it, it feels like it's made out of high quality materials, it feels well put together and solid. And so that's what I mean by high quality, is kind of that whole thing, which is a little bit different from reliability. The last thing that I look at when I'm doing an equipment review are the gimmicks of a product. Now, if the three things that I mentioned are not in a product, the gimmicks will never sell me on the product. They'll never convince me that I want to buy the product. But when a gimmick works, they tend to be really convenient, and I think that's something that the viewer should know about. I think a perfect example is the Exalt Barrel Maid. They have that gimmick, so to speak, of the rocket ship end, but it works really, really well. And so it's a super good squeegee, and I think that's something worth mentioning for the viewer, because like I said, when they work well, and they make your life a lot easier. So those are the four things I look at: reliability, whether it gets the job done, high quality, and the gimmicks. Hopefully the stuff that I've been able to say in this video, you know, my background and the things that I value, have been able to better contextualize the information that I'm giving out in my reviews. It will help you be a better, more informed consumer. Thanks for watching.